The Mass Effect franchise is now 10 years old, and in the decade since Mass Effect first launched for the Xbox 360, the series has grown into one of the biggest, most popular names in the industry. One way or another, for good or bad, the series has been at the center of some fierce discussions and debates throughout the years. And while the Mass Effect trilogy has been on the receiving end of some fair criticism over the years, not least for the final 15 to 20 minutes of the saga, there's absolutely no denying that with the trilogy, BioWare delivered 90 to 100 hours of excellent gameplay, a vast, rich universe, riveting stories, and memorable character moments. From its solid, breathtaking inception with the original Mass Effect to its sequel, which is regarded by many as one of the greatest games ever created, to the title that finished the story in a rather, well, controversial fashion, Mass Effect has always had something great for us in store. And now, after a 5-year hiatus, BioWare's epic space opera series is making a comeback with Mass Effect Andromeda. And so, in order to gear up for the launch, and to refresh our memories and remind ourselves just why the series is considered one of the best examples of games doing storytelling right, we're going to take a look at the first 3 games of the series, and try to recount in the best and most accurate way possible the story of the galaxy so far. Please note that this will be a 5-part series. Spoiler warning, do we even need to say it? In part 1 of our journey from the beginning to the end of the Mass Effect trilogy, we'll take a look at the general lore and backstory that serves as the foundation that the saga's narrative is built on. Although the very first game in the Mass Effect trilogy takes place in the year 2183, the fateful events leading up to the series actually occur much earlier. In the year 2148, explorers on Mars come across what seems to be the remains of an ancient spacefaring intelligent civilization named the Protheans, who disappeared from all existence for unknown reasons, close to 50,000 years ago. What they did leave behind, however, was a bunch of technology and information that would help the human race take to the stars. Some years later, humans find that one of the satellites orbiting Pluto at the far edge of the solar system isn't actually one of the planet's moons, but rather a mass relay. Mass relays are massive devices that allow interstellar travel throughout the galaxy, allowing travel from one relay to another at not just faster than light speeds, but instantaneously. It turns out there's a bunch of these scattered throughout the galaxy, and that they were, apparently, built by the long-gone Protheans. And as the galaxy opens up before the human race thanks to the discovery of the mass relays, so do its other inhabitants. Yes, as you would expect, humans are not alone in the Milky Way galaxy. There's tons of different, intelligent, sentient species roaming the stars. There's the Turians, cunning, merciless warriors and general badasses. The Krogans, huge, aggressive, tank-like brutes. The Quarians, a nomadic, tech-savvy species that's been having a rough time for ages. The Asari, an old, dominant, female-only species, strong with biotic powers. The Solarians, eccentric, intelligent, funny-looking and funny-sounding. And the Geth, synthetic, artificial intelligence that turned on its creators. And that's not even all. There's also others like the Volus, Vorcha, and the Batarians who are not that prevalent in general galactic politics, and others like the Rachni who've already been extinct for a long time. And, not surprisingly, not all these alien species get along too well with each other. For instance, an ongoing bloody and brutal conflict with the Krogans and other species of the galaxy, mostly the Turians, has dragged on for years. Years ago, to put a stop to these wars and battles once and for all, the Turians, with the help of the Solarians, created a biological weapon that was deployed against the entire Krogan race. This weapon, called the genophage, drastically increased the mortality rate in Krogan fetuses and infants, to the point that now, many years later, the species is close to extinction. That knowledge in turn has taken its toll on both them and their homeworld, wrecking them and tearing them apart to reflect their collective, grim, fatalistic outlook. A Krogan infant is now a rarity, something the species rarely sees anymore, and as such they have become a brutal, barbaric race with violent infighting. Another massive conflict that shaped the look of the galaxy over the years is the one between the Quarians and the synthetic species known as the Geth. When the Quarians first created the Geth, they were simply machines to be used for cheap manual labor, and did not possess actual artificial intelligence. To allow the Geth to function more efficiently though, the Quarians allowed them to share data with each other, and as more and more Geth were created, their intelligence grew, until finally they achieved proper artificial intelligence. Afraid of the repercussions and implications, the Quarians tried to shut down all the Geth. This quite predictably led to an all-out war between the two races. The Geth ultimately prevailed, wiping out almost the entire Quarian race, save a few million. These stragglers and survivors were forced to flee their homeworld and now roam the galaxy in their nomadic fleet without any planet they can call home. When they went to the Galactic Council in seek of aid and refuge, they were turned around and stripped of their representative positions thanks to their role in creating actual artificial intelligence. And yes, of course there's a Galactic Council. The Milky Way would fall into chaos with all that conflict between the alien races and no form of government to try to broker some sort of peace between them. The Council has 3 representatives at the beginning of Mass Effect, one each for the Asari, the Turians and the Solarians, which are essentially the 3 leading races in the galaxy. They're based on a space station known as the Citadel, which is presumed to have been built by the Protheans, much like the mass relays. The Citadel basically serves as the hub of the entire galaxy in terms of economy, politics, culture, society, and every other way that could be considered important, and the mysterious silent multi-legged species known as the Keepers are the ones who keep the space station up and running. The Citadel Council, which can be thought of as a governmental body overseeing interspecies interactions and relations throughout the entire galaxy, also has a special branch of agents known as the Spectres. These are, essentially, high-trained and specialized soldiers with a vast number of skill sets. They're above galactic law, operate in secret, only answer to the Council, and have a license to kill. Think of spacefaring James Bond kicking alien butt. However, things start going wrong when a certain Turian Spectre known as Saren Arterius starts grossly misusing his powers, setting into motion events that would ultimately devastate the entire galaxy. This brings us to the beginning of the Mass Effect trilogy. Mass Effect begins aboard the Alliance warship SSV Normandy. Commander Shepard has been tapped up to potentially become the first ever human Council Spectre, and while he's being observed for that role, he's being sent to the human colony of Eden Prime for a routine mission. However, thanks to the presence of Captain Anderson and Turian Spectre Nihilus Kryek on the Normandy, the ship's pilot Joker and the rest of the crew believe there's a lot more to the mission than that. When Shepard's briefed on his objective by Nihilus, that turns out to be true. His mission on Eden Prime isn't just important because he'll be assessed for a potential role as a Spectre, but also because a Prothean beacon has been discovered on the colony. Thanks to its incredible scientific value and the fact that it could be stolen or damaged by pirates or bandits in the vicinity, Shepard is tasked with securing and retrieving the beacon. Things, quite predictably, go wrong. And that's part 1. In part 2, we'll look back at the events of the first Mass Effect game, as well as a little bit of the setup for Mass Effect 2.
And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.